everybody. So welcome to the Fine Arts panel for Open House at Santa Clara. Myself and two other ambassadors are here to kind of answer any questions that you may have. So I guess we can go ahead and do introductions and then get going from there. So Grace, do you want to start?
Yeah, I can start. Hi, guys. Can everyone hear me okay, hopefully? Great. My name is Grace. I'm a senior here at Santa Clara. I'm a political science major with a minor in studio art. Gotten the chance to take a lot of great art courses here at Santa Clara. I was previously a major and it had to, with Corona and everything, had to do back to minor, but I do have experience being an art major. I was for 2 years, so I can definitely answer questions about being a minor or major or just taking art courses. And I'm pretty passionate about the program. So if you guys have any questions about studio art, I can definitely be your person. Okay, are we doing all introductions? Okay.
Yeah, I can go next. Hi, everyone. My name's Carlise. I'm a junior accounting and information systems major. I have the most experience in the dance department. I'm not a major or minor or anything, but you can always join the dance department without choosing to be a major or minor. So if anyone has any questions on dance specifically, I'd be happy to answer them.
Cool. And then, hi, everybody. My name is Sydney. I'm a junior at Santa Clara as well, and I'm a theater and child studies double major. So not only do I have theater as a major, but I've also involved in the theater department kind of as a whole. So I've been in some shows. I've worked on the crew for shows as well. So anything you want to know about the theater department, I can totally answer all of those questions for you. And yeah, this whole time is just for you to ask any questions that you have for the three of us. So go ahead and put your questions in the chat box if you have them. If not, this is going to be a pretty awkward 45-minute staring contest. So let's avoid that. And yeah, no question is stupid. So ask anything you want and we'll answer as honestly as we possibly can.
Do we have to put our questions in the chat or can we just ask them now?
I think we're small enough you can totally come off mute and ask your question if you want to.
Okay, I wanted to ask about accounting and what the opportunities there are in that department in terms of like, as well as political science, because those are both of my majors actually. And I just wanted to know like what opportunities you both were given in terms of like internship or fellowships or anything that like gets you into the job already, like any work experience already.
I can start off talking about accounting. I think my first kind of interaction I had with employers was my freshman year, and I went to one of the career fairs. There's at least one every quarter, either put on by the Career Center or sometimes the accounting department will do specific ones. And the big four accounting firms are always there. And so I remember going and talking to EY, and I was able to do kind of a like diversity externship the summer after my freshman year. And then once you get in with an accounting firm, it's pretty easy to continue to do internships for them. But yeah, either using Handshake, which is kind of like LinkedIn just for Santa Clara students and alum, or going to career fairs is kind of where the opportunities are going to be most visible.
I can just give a quick question about poli-sci before we get to the questions in the chat. I think the biggest opportunities are going to be just going to your professors. That is true for every major here at Santa Clara, not just poli-sci or even humanities. It's true for business engineering, true for off-campus opportunities, art, theater, everything you can think of. So your professors are working in the field. Nearly every professor at Santa Clara is doing, research outside of their job or doing something in their field. So that is always going to be your biggest resource. For example, I had a professor who's actually currently working with the Department of Defense to run a worldwide project and doing really cool research, and I've gotten the chance to talk to her about that, and it's just really amazing to learn from them. So I think no matter your major, you can just really reach out to your professors and they can give you really cool tools about internships or opportunities, like for poli-sci, like studying in Washington or stuff like that. Do we want to move? There's a lot of questions in the chat. Should we tackle those?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so the first one is, when can we start to look for audition sign-up forms for the main stage productions? So in terms of the theater department, we have already tasked the main stage production for the fall. So that is going to be a completely virtual production. Those auditions happen like week 1. So typically for the theater department, for the main stage productions, the auditions happen the first week of the quarter, or sometimes they'll happen week 10 of the previous quarter. So the winter quarter show may have auditions week 10 of fall quarter. Spring quarter show may have auditions week 10 of winter quarter. But generally there will be an email sent out by Ruth, who is kind of the head communicator for the theater department, and she'll let everybody know when those auditions are, what you need to prepare for them, and then where you can sign up. I think dance is doing auditions for images right now, or that might have happened as well.
Yeah,
or choreographer's gallery.
Yeah, the images and choreographer's gallery auditions were back in week 2, so they kind of do them at the beginning. But for senior recital, which is a show in the spring, those auditions are normally sometime around the middle of winter quarter.
Yeah, but in general, especially since we're online, you can look for a lot of stuff through emails. That's how they've been communicating with almost everybody since we are completely virtual. So good question. Are students given the opportunity to showcase their art to the public, and how have students in Santa Clara made a difference in the community through art? Good questions.
Yeah.
Anyone want to? Yeah, take it.
Yeah.
Go.
So you actually, when you are a senior art major, you do a senior showcase, and it's in Dowd, which is the name of our art building. And you have a really cool opportunity to get to work with your professor, work with your advisor to kind of curate a theme. So it's not just going to be all the art you've done over the years just kind of plastered onto the walls. It really is a cohesive project. You focus on what mediums you want to do. It could be photography, it could be typography, painting, drawing, a lot of stuff. You get that opportunity, as well as consistent emails about opportunities in the area to showcase your art, whether it be a local art contest, or I know like the SF MoMA was doing like a student outreach project at the beginning of quarantine, and we got a lot of emails about that. And then as far as through the community, I know that we have a requirement here, ELSJ, where you do service-based learning in addition to time in the classroom. I know there's a couple art ones. I know one of them is working with students in the area to actually teach them how to manually shoot photos, to do manual photography. And you, at the end of the year, help them create like a lookbook of their lives, and the students are able to create like books, really whatever they'd like with elementary students. So that is a really cool opportunity. So stuff like that is kind of working with the community.
Awesome. Grace, this is another one for you. What majors in the art program are considered impacted?
Off the bat, I just want to say that we actually have just kind of one umbrella studio art major, and then also art history. So that is pretty much the entire art program. We don't really have specializations. That does make it easier actually sometimes, because you can kind of explore and take whatever you'd like. For me, I don't want you to get scared off my answer of having to change. That was kind of a unique situation. I started off as a minor, then last year decided I wanted it to be a major, and then everything happened, and it just kind of, the odds were stacked against me. But I promise you, they were working really, really hard to make sure that everyone can. I'm assuming by impacted you mean what I said earlier about Corona, or maybe you mean, I'm not sure, but I'll go through with that. They're working really hard to make sure you have everything you need at home to still do art classes. So I would say it's still worthwhile to take art classes with what's happening right now.
Yeah, if by impacted you mean like ones that you can only get into like off of your initial application or anything like that, that is not a problem in the art department at Santa Clara. No matter what discipline you choose, music, theater, dance, fine arts, like you can get into that major or minor without a problem, always. So if that was that side of the question, don't worry about that. Okay, does SCU have a portfolio or audition for admission for incoming freshman applicants? So do we each want to kind of go through our discipline and answer this question?
Yeah, I can start for dance. So there's not necessarily an audition to be a dance minor or major. If you want to major in dance, you can, which is kind of the nice thing about it. And the really only auditions that there are for casting for our shows. So like I was saying, we cast Choreographer's Gallery, which is a fall show that takes place week 10, and Images, which happens at the beginning of winter quarter. We audition for those at the same time, week 2 fall quarter, and then our spring show auditions in middle of winter quarter. And I think if you want a specific dance scholarship, there is an audition for that, but just to enter into the program, you are free to do so.
Yeah, the theater department is very similar. There is no audition required for a major or a minor. You just sign up and then you're given that title for your the degree that you're getting. Sorry, I had a huge brain fart there. Addition to the dance scholarship, there is a scholarship for theater students, and that will require an audition. It's only like 2 monologues and like an optional song if you want to do that. So not difficult at all. And all of the info about that is on the theater and dance website. And yeah, again, if you want to participate in any shows outside of theater classes, you have to audition for those. But you don't have to audition to be a major or a minor.
Repetitive here, but pretty much same story in art. You do not need to have a portfolio or anything. Because it's pretty, like I mentioned before, it's a little more loose. You don't have to declare like any emphasis or anything. You pretty much just have to go and do the same process for declaring any major or minor, and just kind of go to registrar and say, hey, I'm an art major. And that makes it pretty nice. I just see another question there that I'm just going to tack on with this because it's a quick answer. You don't have to do an emphasis. Let me see where that question went. Sorry, guys. Oh, can you focus on one art discipline? You can, you can really do whatever you like. There's a few loose requirements, but from there, it's pretty open-ended so that students can focus. For example, I'm focusing mainly on digital classes and a few photography. So, and hopefully some painting courses in the winter. So you can focus on whatever you like and you don't need a portfolio. It's pretty open-ended.
Perfect. Again, this is a question for you, Grace. What is the main difference between taking studio art as a major and a minor, and what are the classes like?
The main difference is, I think it's 7 courses as a minor, and I think 14 to 15 as a major. It's really just more courses and then a little bit more structured as an art major. You have a few more art history requirements, whereas in the art minor, you have 1 art history course you need to take, and then 2 foundational courses, 2D, 3D, and then from there on, it's whatever you want, as long as it's an art course. So the art minor is pretty open-ended. It's been really great for me because I can just really see what's available that quarter and take what I please. Whereas art major, you have a substantial amount more before you kind of get to the freedoms of just taking what you'd like, but you definitely still have those freedoms. It would be pretty against the philosophy of art to have a very structured, very maintained curriculum to complete. So I'd say the main difference is just more classes and a little more structure.
Perfect. You kind of touched on this earlier, but in terms of like the second part of this question, like, do you want to talk about what they've been doing in quarantine or since we all kind of went home? I don't know if you know anything about that.
Yeah, I have one professor who I know, my friend was taking their course and for film photography, she was actually sending kits to everyone's house. Like she was going and buying like with her own money and like with a little like time, like money allotted from the department, of course, and like kind of boosting that, kits to take like darkroom photography and develop photos at home. So they're working really hard to make sure you can still do your courses at home. Because of course we have a lot of resources endowed for when we're normally in session, but they're still making sure that you kind of have to just be really in contact with your professor to see what resources you have. And then they do their best to kind of fill in the gaps and make sure you can still do it at home. So the classes, I think they're doing a pretty good job, all things considered, to make sure that it's not too big of a gap from what it normally is.
That's so cool. I didn't know they were doing that. That's awesome. Okay, so this next question is, what is the audition process for the dance program and what dance styles are focused on in the program? So again, you don't have to audition to be in the dance program, but Carlise, do you want to maybe talk about like how you audition for the shows and stuff like that?
Yeah, I can just touch on the format of the actual audition. So normally you fill out a little application where you can note kind of like important dates where you couldn't be at rehearsal, things like that, and then choose which choreographer's pieces you would like to audition for. There's normally 5 or 6, I believe, depending on the year. And then you go into the room with everyone, and each choreographer will teach you like a 1-minute snippet of their piece or just kind of a main chunk of choreography. Learn it pretty quickly, do it a few times, and then split up into smaller groups of only the people that are actually auditioning for that piece, just so they can kind of get a better look. And yeah, you just go through that and do that with each choreographer, and then it's done. It's pretty quick. And then they normally post up a sheet with the casting list. It's been as soon as the same day. So yeah, it really doesn't take super long, which is nice. And in terms of what dance styles are focused on in the program, it's pretty diverse. It's not necessarily only focused on ballet or modern. There's ballet, modern, hip hop, there's tap. I think there's like an African-based style that you can take classes in as well. There's even Pilates, which is a great option for a nice relaxing class. So I'd say it's pretty varied, and you can really choose to focus on whatever you want. Kind of as Grace was saying with the studio art minor, there's not specific disciplines, but that kind of gives you the freedom to move around and experiment.
Awesome. Okay. This next question is, when do you declare for an art minor? You can do that whenever you want. There is no like specific time or waiting period. You talk to your advisor and get them to sign off on it, fill out the piece of paper, turn it into the registrar, and then you're done. So you can do it whenever you want. Do you have to audition to do theater minor or only audition for the major? Again, with all of the art at Santa Clara, no audition required to be a major or a minor. You only have to audition if you are auditioning for a show of some kind. How is COVID affecting the art classes? I think Grace did a really good job explaining that for fine art specifically. In terms of theater, it depends on what theater class you're taking. So I'm in dramaturgy right now, and that is a class that we can very easily do online because it's a lot of just reading plays and then talking about them. So we're able to do that over Zoom. I know that my one friend is in more of a performance-based class. And they meet 3 days a week over Zoom. She's still doing like movement in our bedroom when she has class. There's still just like doing acting workshops in class. And then she still is able to do the group work with her group mates just over Zoom. So they're trying to do as much as they can to bring the world of the arts into a virtual platform. Again, nothing is the same as being in person. Obviously, I think we feel it a lot in the arts and that we need to like have real connections with people and actually be face to face. But I'm very impressed with how creative the department has gotten and how willing they are to still make this a great experience for students. So whether that's trying to make their classes as normal as possible or whether that's still offering opportunities to perform in shows over Zoom has been pretty cool. And I think dance is doing a really good job of it as well. I don't know if you want to add anything, Carlise.
Yeah, I'm not in any dance classes this quarter specifically, but from what I've heard, it's been pretty similar, just trying their best to operate on Zoom and just kind of, it's up to the students to find kind of like a clear space where they can move around and just kind of like positioning their camera well so the teachers can see them to the best of their ability. And yeah, from what I've heard, it is a challenge, but the department is definitely doing a good job making it work.
All right, the next question is, does doing a theater performance impact grades or academics? So you will get like 2 units for doing any show. You just have to go on to like Courseville and figure out what the course number is for that show that you're in, but you can get 2 units for that. I mean, professors don't give as much leeway for the arts as they do for something like athletics. So when I was in tech week, I still had to turn all my assignments in right on time because my professors didn't care that I was in rehearsal till 11 or 12. So I think that's a pretty similar experience people have had in high school as well. So, I mean, the commitment, yeah, can be an impact on grades or academics, but there's a lot of support within your cast and within your, like, whoever is directing the show to try to help you as much as possible. But they do kind of put it on you to get the work done, unfortunately. Yeah, but you do get 2 units for it. So, you know, at least maybe you feel like you're getting something else besides the performance and all that great stuff out of it. Do all students have access to art facilities, even if they're not taking a class that semester?
Yeah, you don't. They kind of, it's for security purposes. If you are an art major or like not even, and you just can kind of go into like the very well-kept labs with the very expensive equipment, it's really hard to keep people you know, accountable for what's going on in there. So you only have your access card is keyed in for whatever class or studio you need that quarter, and otherwise you can't really get in. And most, I think all doors endowed now have like on the handle, like one of those new things where you just tap your card to get in, and they're all keyed in to access that your first day of class. But otherwise, it's just, we have like really nice facilities endowed. We have like insanely good computers. We have a welding lab, like all this cool stuff that they want to make sure is maintained. So in a perfect world, everyone would be held accountable and we'd have access to all this amazing equipment all the time, but we definitely want to make sure it's being maintained. So you only have access to it if you're in the class. But anyone can take an art class, unless of course it's like requires like prereqs, but that's true for all majors if you need to build to get to it. But anyone can take a course, so you can be mechanical engineering, decide to take an art course and have access to the studio for that quarter.
Perfect. What kind of careers do you plan on going into with your fine arts minors? Do we all kind of want to answer this one based on kind of what we all have, like different involvement with our arts that we do? So I don't know if anyone wants to take it. I can talk about mine since I still have the major, I guess. I'm looking to go into teaching. So I want to teach elementary school and I want to be a theater educator as well. So in the theater department, if you have like theater as a major, there's several different emphasis that you can choose from. So acting, design, etc. Mine is in teaching, so teaching the performing arts. So that's kind of what I'm looking to do with my arts degree. Carlise, Grace, I don't know if you have anything you want to add for what you're doing with yours.
So as I said before, my primary focus is political science. So my career goals aren't exactly set within the art world, but I definitely, for a while I was considering graphic design, and there are a lot of great graphic design opportunities in the art department. I see here that someone is asking about computer classes. You have a lot of opportunities to do that. I was able to take a bunch of graphics courses, and you can kind of go more the tech route as well, kind of like a hybrid between art and computer science, if you will. They also have a lot of art geared computer science courses within the art department. So I was considering doing kind of graphic design for a while, and I've since gone the other direction, but I am thinking of maybe when I'm older, like doing a little bit of freelance graphic design on the side. I do calligraphy, so I'm like hoping to maybe like do something like with freelance with that. So for me, it's definitely just kind of like more of like my passion, whether more so than doing a career out of it. But I know that there's a lot of opportunities to make a career out of art within the art department.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same position as Grace. My career's kind of going in the accounting direction as opposed to dance. But I mean, I definitely want to keep it a part of my life still. And I know a lot of other people in the program who have gone on to either, if they double majored in business and dance, kind of take like an administrative role at a dance company, or even one of my old dance professors does a lot of dance research. And so sometimes she'll recruit students to help her with that. And one of my friends from last year moved to New York and was doing kind of like a performance internship type thing to prepare her for being a professional dancer. So there definitely are people who are able to incorporate it into their career. So you don't just have to keep it as a hobby later in life.
Perfect. Okay, Grace, I think this one is also for you. What kind of opportunities are offered for studio art minors in the industry? You've kind of touched on this a little bit already.
Yeah, I would just kind of reiterate, it really depends on what you are going into. I have a few friends who are similar to Sydney in that they want to kind of go forth and teach art and like teach disciplines that they're studying. So you can always, of course, pursue that and work with professors who went the same route, of course, or you can do computer-based courses, digital art. There's a high demand for that right now. We're in the Silicon Valley, so there's obviously a lot of job opportunities there. It really depends. I would, again, I'm reiterating a lot, but I would just say the professors are always going to be your greatest resource. There's a lot of cool professors who are doing some really cool work in the fields that we're studying. So any opportunities are really just going to be found by just shooting an email to your professors, which I encourage you to not really be nervous about doing. They welcome these emails. They like to talk about their work. That's why they're doing what they're doing. So don't be nervous about reaching out to professionals, reaching out to our professors and just saying like, hey, I'm really interested in like this. You can find also their profiles on the faculty websites. That took a second, and just kind of see who's interested in what, and then shoot some emails out and get some responses. So I would say that that's your first step, but that it's really hard to give a concrete answer for all art because, as we know, it's very varied.
Perfect. Okay, are there any classes or opportunities that focus on directing rather than just tech or acting? Yes. So there is a directing class at Santa Clara that is offered. Anybody can take it. The prereq for that is that you have to take dramaturgy before you take directing. So in terms of like planning out your schedule, you're just going to need to know that you have to take that class before you take the directing class. And then there is an option to direct a one act in either the fall or the winter festival. Those positions are saved for majors or minors, particularly because for majors, that can be one of your senior projects options. So my senior project is going to have to be directing because of my emphasis in teaching. And so hopefully we'll be able to have the one act in the fall and winter of next year. And so I'll be able to direct that. But yes, there is a class available and there are opportunities to direct a one act in the theater department. Is there a music scholarship? Yes. I don't know the names, but they are on the website. So yes, there are music scholarship opportunities for those students as well. Carlise, this one is for you. If we take a dance class, is there a showcase at the end of the semester, and is ballroom dancing offered?
So in my experience, in the spring, like week 10 of spring quarter, so way at the end of the year, there is a smaller student-run show that's in one of our big studios called Abydos. And the modern class I was taking that quarter did do kind of like a combination that we had been consistently working on. So we got to showcase that there, and a lot of other classes did similar things. And then for a ballet class I had taken in the fall when we had like our final. And so we had like set combinations to do. I remember my teacher offered that if we wanted to come have people watch or wanted to invite anyone, they could sit quietly at the front just to observe if they were interested. So even if you don't end up auditioning for a show or like a main stage production or anything like that, there still are opportunities to kind of show off what you've learned. And to my knowledge, ballroom dancing isn't offered, but within some of the modern classes, they've tried to start replacing reading and written homework with things called movement labs. So our homework is essentially to go to a separate hour-long dance class kind of in the evening on a different day of the week. And I do remember covering ballroom dancing in a few of those classes. And so if you're interested, I would talk to Kristen Kusanovich, who's kind of all things modern dance in the dance department, and she could definitely tell you which classes she's teaching this quarter, or if there's going to be a similar format.
Perfect. So this next question, how engaged are the faculty with their art students? I think Grace has done a really good job of explaining how involved the professors are. I would totally reiterate that. I think any professor in any art discipline at Santa Clara, the nice thing is that the arts at Santa Clara aren't huge. So we have smaller departments and you're able to have professors more than once build those relationships with them, and they really do care about you. They want to help you in whatever way that they can, and they want to provide any opportunities that they have for their art students. So something that I've loved at Santa Clara as a theater major is that I really feel supported by the faculty in the department, and I feel like I can reach out to them if I have questions about like what I want to do with my life or where I should like look for a job or an internship or things like that. And they always have time to meet with you. They always have resources available. And I think you are able to build a really tight-knit community within the arts department at Santa Clara, no matter what discipline you choose. So to me, the professors are like the best part about the art department because they're awesome and they have a lot of really good experience and they want to always share it with students. I don't know if anyone wants to add anything onto that. Okay, we can move on. What if you want to submit a portfolio? I'm assuming this means on your initial application to Santa Clara. I don't know the answer to this. I don't know. Grace, do you know?
If you're referencing art, like for the studio art program, portfolio submission would really only be in the case of like scholarships and stuff like that. The way, like, you know, Sydney mentioned doing an audition for scholarships. So we don't have art specific scholarships at Santa Clara. So it's kind of pointless to submit. Yes, for initial application. Yeah, so we don't do that. Really, the basis of coming to Santa Clara, you are curating your portfolio the entire time. So that's when you get to specialize, like I mentioned before, kind of choose an emphasis or emphases within art. Your advisor is going to help you curate your portfolio. And usually your sign-in advisor or like work with someone who's kind of within what you're interested in. So we don't do portfolio submission, but we do kind of curate them over the years here while you're here.
I feel like I remember in the Santa Clara Common App there being a little section that said if you wanted to supplement your application with something that showed like your creative passions. I think I remember submitting a video of myself dancing, and I wasn't even applying to the major, but if you wanted to do that, like link to a website or something you've made with a portfolio, that's always an option, but it's not, you can still be a art major or minor if you want to, but if you just want to supplement your application by showing you're already dedicated to the field, that's always an option too.
Yeah, good point, Carlise. I forgot about that as well, so that was awesome. Grace, another one for you. Does studio art require an internship? And if so, are you assigned an internship?
As far as I know, it's not required to have an internship. I think there are pretty few programs and probably concentrated in the business school that would require an internship. Of course, it's your prerogative, whatever you want to do. So you can work with professors to do really any art-based internship, but it's not required. I think that some courses are better set up to kind of help you find them. I know I have a professor who was looking for kind of research assistants. Yes, there's research in art. So something like that, you can look for those opportunities, but it's not required.
Perfect. Okay, another one for your field. What are art history classes like? Is it names and date or understanding the theory and style of art compared to the time period / history?
I see the up arrow, so I'll definitely make sure to answer this. Art history classes are great. I like them a lot. One of my favorite professors I've ever had, I took in the winter, and she was fantastic, and it was postmodern contemporary art, and I loved it. It depends on the professor. You know, you could have an amazing professor. You could have a professor who has different requirements. So she was very much so more about the theory, like you mentioned here, and less about the dates. Of course, as we art historians know, dates and time periods are important for understanding the art. So sometimes you do need to know like that. So what, for example, when we were talking about Jackson Pollock, we had to know that it was the early 60s because that's very important to understand who he is as an artist. So that's just an example you need to know. What was her name? Her name, Professor Morris, I think, Kate Morris. Yeah, she was fantastic. But they're all pretty fantastic. And I have gotten a chance to take some really great professors there. But I'd say in general across the board, I've talked to other friends who've taken other courses, and it's not so much like you need to know it was painted on April 12th, 1842. Like, you don't need to know that, but you do need to know the time period because of course that's important for the art. But in general, art history courses are really engaging, really fun, a little bit like I love history, so I'm maybe biased, but it's like a little history course, but also with some fun paintings to look at or fun art. So I'd say it's a little more theory based, but with important cultural context.
Yeah, and as somebody who is not a studio art major, I took an art history course for my Cultures and Ideas 1 and 2. Didn't know what I was getting myself into, but it was super cool. Like, I don't know much about the fine art world, but mine was all about like ancient Roman and Greek like paintings and like buildings and statues and stuff like that. And so now like I can go to a museum and look at like a statue from that time period and actually know what I'm looking at. So it was a lot about like analyzing the features of the art or the building, and kind of then applying that to what we had talked about in class. So again, yeah, more theory based. And as someone who fine art is not my thing, it was super cool. So would highly recommend. Okay, how much money is put into a theatrical production? Is everything organized by students? So I don't know how much money goes into it. I don't get to look at the budget. They put on fantastic productions, especially for main stage productions. They have a really great team that works on the sets and costumes. It's professors in the department, but they're also professionals in this field. So they are also designing shows outside of Santa Clara. So they bring all that expertise with them. We've got a really cool scene shop that you can work in if you want to. And so they always look like professional productions, I think is what I'm trying to say with that. Everything is not organized by students for main stage productions. For the one act, that is completely student run, including lights and sound and set. So direction, the actors, obviously, and then the people who run the soundboard, who run the light board, who design it, who design the sets, that's all completely student run. So you do have opportunities for that if that's something that you're interested in, which is super cool. Okay, anyone can answer this one. Do you feel that the workload has increased because of COVID? I think, go Grace.
I don't even, it's so hard to really, it's because it's, there's it's a different type of workload, I would say. You're spending less time on it, but it comes sometimes like the legwork is a little more. I think it's a little bit more readings, a little more basic, like your online assignments. But I don't think it's so much worse, honestly. I think they are doing a really good job making sure it's pretty balanced. So I would say no, it hasn't increased, but it really depends on your major. It's hard to give an answer across the board.
Yeah, I would definitely echo that. I think that I found that I've been doing a bit more busy work than like actual meaningful work, which I was doing more of before COVID hit. And obviously it's difficult because we can't do all the things that we were able to do before we all had to be online. So I understand it's a little frustrating sometimes, but yeah, definitely a lot more reading, a lot more like, to me, it feels like kind of busy assignments that don't have that much meaning. But I think this quarter is a lot better than spring quarter when we were online. So professors are continuously working to make their classes as best as they can and as interesting as they can, despite all of the challenges.
Yeah, I definitely echo the busy work aspect of it. And at least for me, having classes be online kind of makes it feel like I'm spending more time on school, just because normally when I would go to class, that part of my day didn't really feel like work. I think I just kind of enjoyed being in the classroom environment. So now that that time is replaced with going to class on the computer, that feels more kind of like I'm spending my time on homework. But in reality, as everyone else has said before, I don't think we really have that much more work. It's just the assignments are slightly different, and it's just all a matter of getting used to it, as the professors are too. But I also definitely agree that it has improved from spring quarter, so things are looking good.
Alrighty. Is there opportunity, or are there opportunities to study art abroad over the summer? I don't know specifically the abroad programs over the summer. I know for theater, they do like this immersion type trip to New York, like every other year that you can go on over the summer. And I know that there is a trip to Portugal that happens. I think that is a study abroad experience during like fall, winter, spring quarter. But as an art major, you can go abroad and you can take classes in your field. It just depends on what location you're going to as to what is offered, but that is always an option for anybody. Carlise or Grace, do you have anything that you can add to that?
I would echo the same thing. It's hard to say specifically summer programs. Your best friend is going to be to go onto the SU Global Engagement site and use their search engine. That's probably not the answer you want to hear, but it truly will be your best friend. It is such a good and advanced thing that you can toggle filters for. So my advice would just be go on there and look at the programs. I studied abroad in Rome in the fall, and I was able to do really amazing art courses, going on sites and going to historical monuments, which was just absolutely fantastic. So you can do something like that. It just depends on what season you're looking for, and you can kind of filter for that in the website. So I would definitely say to use that resource.
Yeah, I echo all the things Grace just said. I'm also not exactly sure what dance study abroad programs there are, especially specifically for the summer. So yes, definitely check out the Global Engagement site.
Perfect. Okay, we have a few left, and we're going to try to end on time. So these answers might be short, but you can always reach out if you have further questions or want further explanations. So I'm going to kind of combine the one about tutors and double majoring. So there are tutors available for all students, completely free. You can go to the Drama and Tutoring Center and then go on that website and look at kind of what tutor you need for what class it is. In terms of double majoring, pretty much everyone I know that has like an art major also has another major or a minor. And that is pretty like commonplace across Santa Clara's campus. Because we are on the quarter system, you do have more opportunities to take more classes. So you're able to complete those two majors and still finish on time. So child studies, theater, not things that have a lot of crossover, but I'm still completely on track to graduate. And I'll have like one free space in my like course load for spring quarter my senior year. So it is very, very possible. And there's a lot of people that do it. There's a lot of resources in order to ask questions if you have them. Are there any classes that teach metal casting / jewelry making?
We have a welding lab and welding classes. Jewelry making, don't think that's a specific thing, but I know I'm going to echo again myself. It's open-ended. Your projects, Santa Clara encourages a lot of creativity. So I think the welding lab is really cool. I've been in it before, and it just like is insane, and they make really cool projects. So there you would use the welding lab and maybe contact a professor about wanting to. It is really cool. It's insane. It's like awesome. There's a lot of really cool labs. The Dowd building is, I think, my favorite one on campus. It just has such cool resources and labs, and like a $1 million sculpture hanging from the ceiling. That's really cool. So the labs there are going to be your best friend, especially the welding lab if you're looking for metal work.
Yeah, and then final question, how many main stage shows are there each year? So for the theater department, there are 3 main stage shows. 2 will be a like straight play, and then 1 will be a musical. Carlise, do you want to answer for dance?
Yeah, so we have 2 a year, and then senior recitals and like a studio theater. And so, yeah, that's about it.
Cool. Okay. Well, with that, it is 3:45, so we ended right on time. So thank you all so much for all of your questions. I hope that we were able to help you in some way. If you have any other questions, feel free to reach out. As ambassadors, we're always able to answer anything that you want to know. So thank you so much for your time, and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.